So we're here to talk about sustainable growth, right? And really be able to master sustainable community growth. That could mean a lot of different things. So I'd love to hear like from you, when you hear, sustainable growth, what does that mean to you?
I think there's a time for community everywhere. And we get to see those beautiful moments of community when it's around an event or a period of time or a person, an artist, etc. Like I love seeing all these communities around musicians, and those communities are so powerful. But sometimes you have those just kind of moment in time ones. And I think when you think about sustainable growth, it's like, how do you get the deadhead community? How do you get a community that consistently will evolve with a band or a product or an event and just kind of continue to show up and not be afraid of change? I think for me, thinking about sustainable growth means being flexible, wanting to evolve, and not being afraid of changing things up. And I think the best way to grow is always with transparency. Like bring your community members along with you. Be like, hey, we're going to try something new. If it doesn't work, let's get your feedback and change it up.
But when we think about, building sustainable growth versus just building any growth or growth in any direction, why is that so important to you all as you look at the Trailblazer community right now?
It's always fun to be in the community space where, depending on where you are in an organization, sometimes it's marketing, sometimes it's not. Like you want to have these big numbers and show like, this is how powerful my community is, because you know the work you're doing, you know the impact you're doing. But sometimes I think to understand the true health of your community and how to grow it sustainably, you have to kind of get through the noise and get to the root of like, okay, who are my truly active leaders? Who are my active members? What are they doing? How can I support them more? And so what we've been really trying to do over the past several years, and really in the past couple years, is to be like, all right, we have a very established community. Who's kind of staying with us with this transition of a somewhat post-COVID world, and trying to nurture them. And something I know we kind of talked about in the takeaways is like, offboarding is just saying, see you later. It's not goodbye. I'm very proactive in the idea of like, it sometimes isn't always the right fit for right now. And it means it can still be a possibility later.
I'm curious of like, how do you make those decisions today? Like what metrics are you guys paying attention to?
For us at Salesforce, it's meeting once a quarter. And if you want to go above and beyond that, that's amazing. And we're using that as a way to just kind of track the health of groups and use that as points to be like, okay, we need to engage. This group hasn't met in 6 months. We really kind of help our leaders dive full into Bevy. And so we're really encouraging, like, if you want to be an active group, you have to have your meetings here because we have to be able to track it. The metrics to be able to say, like, they've had a meeting. We're getting to see that they're talking about various topics that are feeling relevant, and we can support them also with topics that they need to talk about, has been really beneficial just to, again, have a pulse on like the community at large.
I'm sure when you all are sharing to leadership outside of the community space or outside the community team, and you're saying like, hey, look at how big our community is. Look at how many members, look at how many groups. They all love that. And was there feedback from them to say like, okay, like how do we make this more actionable? How do we think about sustainable growth? Or did that come really internally from the community team? And how are you presenting that now to the business case?
Our leadership's been really awesome this year in the aspect of they're looking at growth as activity. Again, how many groups are meeting often? Because we really want to create that experience for Trailblazers to come in and be like, all right, I want to meet with someone, and we can get them to a group and they're having a meeting soon, or they just had one, so they know it's going to be coming up soon. So that quarterly engagement is actually a really big part of our metric piece this year. And we are launching a now annual re-signing of our policies and guidelines and doing an annual audit on our end to make sure we're setting up those various changes with business to inform our volunteers, our leaders, and then them to also recommit and be like, yeah, I might have signed that 10 years ago, but I'm recommitting again this year. And so with that, I think we're going to be getting to a place where we're seeing a lot of our groups become active, and that's a metric our leadership is interested in. Additionally, I think we've kind of gotten to the place where we feel amazing with our incredible group number. And of course, we might need to offboard and onboard accordingly throughout phases of life. But we're really looking at growing our community at large. So looking at the number of new members, and we're looking as well specifically at our RSVPs. And so the stat that I really love right now is that year over year for the first several months of 2024, we're seeing about 5,000 plus new RSVPs per month. We're seeing so much new engagement, and a lot of it has been due to some work on my team with colleagues who are helping drive new content. I think that's been a really great strategy we're utilizing right now, is like, how can we support our leaders with content because it's something our community is interested in. If there's a new product, a new feature, a new experience, how can we enable them to have those conversations because we know the community wants it, and then it's driving either dormant or new members into the community be like, yeah, I want to dive back in. So that's been a really great strategy this year, and we're really seeing some awesome metrics to reflect that outcome.
When we think about data too, and how you're doing things, I know you mentioned like the quantitative side of like, okay, are they doing an event every quarter or not? You know, how engaged are we seeing the groups really being? Is there any qualitative data points that you're also bringing into those factors?
I think when I like to think about qualitative right now, it's sometimes those one-off points of like the story or a piece of feedback. And then if you're lucky, you then get to see that kind of in a quantitative format to be like, oh yes, like this experience happened and so forth. We see it in the numerical data. But for us right now, I think that's an area we're wanting to improve a bit. I know having a member survey is something we're starting to consider, because we have a large community. We're working with our leaders, but how can we also get to our members? And those kind of one-off experiences, when they add up, I think that that's where you get to really see opportunity for change. One of the things we took away to kind of support our community that I ran, as I've obviously been talking about music a lot, is we have awesome music events at Salesforce, events like a kind of evening celebration with a concert at times. No one wants to go to a concert alone. So if you're coming to an event alone, you always just want to go with a buddy. And so we created concert buddies as a way, based on feedback of people feeling like, I didn't want to go, or I went to my hotel room and I was like, I don't want anyone to sit in a hotel room. I'm just going to be like, we're all going to be here and we're all going to go together. And the feedback with numbers was incredible. We've seen so many people show up, and we've also, with it in some of our like events apps, seen so many saves. We went with a little bit of qualitative data, a little bit of gut, and then we saw the impact on numbers to be like, this is what our community wants. And I think that's the other part of what some people have shared in the chat of the power of community. It's the connection, it's the empathy, it's the belonging. And whenever you find those opportunities and you can just make it happen, it's been so rewarding to see those experiences.
So Slack is a way that you're talking to the leaders, right? What other tools are you using today to help manage your community?
Yeah, so for today, we have a CRM to manage our community and kind of help in those areas of understanding some of our analytics and support cases. Again, we just have such a large scale community. So to be able to help support our leaders, we have tried to go through some of those experiences. Again, the Slack space, a lot of times we're really lucky where if we have those common issues, a lot of times our established leaders will come in and help out and be like, hey, this is what I did, or this is where you can go find this. We are obviously as well on Bevy, and that's been a great tool to, again, just really use it as our event platform to connect our leaders with their members. We then have a forum space as well to connect that is built into our learning platform Trailhead, which has been really lovely to get new members, but allow individuals to connect and have discussions with each other. And then the community itself has kind of taken on and done their own things. There's like a Discord space that they've developed. There's individual Slack spaces, LinkedIn groups, etc. But the things that we manage and oversee is the forums at Bevy primarily, with then again a CRM and Slack just to have connection points and to do those technical spaces. But always looking to expand and kind of figure out ways that we can make our jobs easier to help our community and have more engagement time.